It's about that do that little dance you do on Field Effect too, right? Um, that whole album and first Field Effect is basically a deep social commentary. When did you start to observe the realities of the system, right? And when did you think, or when did you get to the point to say, man, I want to speak about it publicly and actually record my feelings on these issues?
I didn't. That wasn't a thought that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
It just happened. That wasn't like intentional. Um, it just was happening. Like in life, I was just seeing a lot and hearing a lot and researching a lot, and it was just in my psyche. You know, it wasn't like I'm going to go public with this. It was just life kind of happening.
And when you were acquiring this information, man, were you like talking to old heads? Were you reading? Were you listening to speeches? Where was this information coming from?
Um, some of it was outside. Some of it would come from old heads. Some of it YouTube. You know,
Yeah.
like just being a young nigga on YouTube and researching. Um, yeah,
Were there any particular people you remember, or particular
books. You said what?
speeches? Were there any particular speeches or any particular speakers that kind of really exposed you to information?
Um, I used to watch. You familiar with what was it, Phil Donahue?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Khalid Muhammad and
So, you know,
Farrakhan
he
and
used
all
to have
those?
Farrakhan in it. Yeah, I used to watch hell of that shit. Kwame Ture. Um, I used to just be on I used to just consume a lot of black thought leaders. And yeah.
Was there? Well, that's a that's beyond a classic show with the Farrakhan and Phil Donahue. Do you remember? Was there anything about that conversation that really like sparked your brain to say, "Yo, this thing
Yeah,
makes sense"? You know?
I remember on Farrakhan episode, the white lady was like, "We're scared. You guys are this and you guys are that, and we're scared every time you guys are talking about white people." And he was just like, "Ma'am, we have done none of that. Your fear is that we will do unto you what you've done to us, but we have no interest." And it was like,
Facts.
you know, like just hearing him speak and answer to people, and like I just learned. I learned a lot. And then, you know, after that I got kind of heavy into Sadhguru, and I got to hear him speak and elaborate, and just you learn information, then you start reading books, and it just poured. You know, I started reading a lot of books from like Indian mystics, Swami and Sadhguru, and what's bro
And
name who wrote Four Agreements too, the Aztec guy. But you know, like I just started reading a lot more too, and James Baldwin books and shit just kind of dump in.
I'm glad you said that because I could hear it in the music. I just didn't know the origins of it, right? Now you clarify it for me, especially the mysticism thing. That's why I said earlier, you sound like a man that's been working on himself. And when you get into the mysticism, you really get a deeper understanding of life. So you're either gonna make the decision and change, or you're just gonna be a knowledgeable person and stay the same. Nah,
Right,
for real.
on God. Did you hear
So,
him?
but that's why I asked earlier, because like especially how you reflect on life in the music. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Really shows a person that's been exposed to a certain understanding of life, and it could come two ways. It could come through studying, but also it could come through living. And what I hear in the music is that you have the balance, and you observe yourself,
Both.
and you observe your actions. You know?
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Necessary. And I think that's what's given me the ability to communicate at this level, to where like I feel like, you know, if you come to a show, you'll see the demographic is from like 5 to 65, because everyone can understand it.
And I know you're busy now, right? I know you're super busy, but is there anything you've been reading or any videos you've been watching that been in that same lane?
Um, the last book I read that had me like really kind of inspired was Rick Rubin's The Creative Act. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't. I dabble more now than I used to, so I really need to get back in.
And facts. And I just want to jump back on this Farrakhan thing to see if you observed this. I've interviewed Nuri Muhammad and Rizza, but Nuri Muhammad was telling me about his conversation with Farrakhan about that experience, right? And I was telling him I was so impressed on his breath control. He almost has like the breath control of an artist and staying posed when he's listening. And you notice he always takes a deep breath. He'll smile, then he'll answer. So he's never caught up in emotions. I always thought that was so brilliant, that control itself, and the breath.
Yes, and Sadhguru does the same. And it's funny you said that because I didn't notice it with Farrakhan, but I experienced it. But with Sadhguru, I noticed it. It was like, wow, I could,